Should we get into what caused all this?
Yeah.
Miranda Alize and Nixon Newell situation on the November 8th episode of AEW Collision caused controversy. This is from Fightful Select. PW Insider originally reported that Miranda Alize and the former Tegan Nox, now known as Nixon Newell, refused to lose to Anna Jane Taikanchi. Now, Fightful Select has heard that wasn't actually the case. Instead, the duo requested more than 3 minutes that was planned for the match. However, they were told that by then, the time for the show had been budgeted out and set. We were told that the two then left the show about an hour before it started. There was an immediate and immense reaction internally from AEW personalities and staff. One AEW staffer told Fightful that both Nixon and Miranda Alize were talented, but there was a push to help Newell out, quote unquote, after she revealed she wasn't getting many bookings. Others said that they were disappointed to hear about the situation and it seemed out of character for Newell specifically. Maya World and Hyan, who we were just talking about, were provided the opportunity, filled in on short notice, and that people were over the moon about the last minute opportunity when it didn't look like they would be used. AW sources claimed if Nixon and Miranda did say they'd rather other talent get the opportunity, things probably would have ended up better. This is a very long story. Go to FightfulSelect.com and read it. But to give you just a general idea, there was conversation about not only the length of the match, but also the layout of the match and what one team wanted to do versus what was expected of them from a creative standpoint on the AEW side. So from there, Fightful reached out to Nixon Newell, and Nixon said, no, we had no disagreement. Miranda and I are the only ones that have the details on how yesterday went. And then when they were asked to elaborate, they did not get a response by the time the article was published on Select. So then they went to Twitch. And we'll get to how I feel about that in a minute. But to update from Fightful Select, Nixon Newell and Miranda Alize were on their Twitch stream, confirmed Fightful's report that they were at Dynamite on Wednesday, but there was nothing for them on the show. They came in for Saturday's Collision, where they were given a match, and say they were presented ideas and were informed of the short match. They decided after that promo they did that wouldn't benefit anyone. They say they told AEW that they appreciated it and there wasn't any negativity or a harsh walkout, and spoke to everyone involved, and that they were told they were free to leave if they wanted. They also claimed that many people They also claimed that many people there were in agreement that 3 minutes was too short for them. Nixon Newell also claimed that she only has about a year left in wrestling. That's a separate conversation. So, first of all, yes, as Chad is saying, shout out to Maya World and Hyan taking an opportunity and making the most out of it. I think that's a big, big thing that we are going to be leaning on in the long term of this conversation about opportunities and maximizing minutes. Jeremy, my ears perked up when I heard we'll talk about it on our Twitch stream at 7:00.
Yeah.
I don't want to bury anyone. I like being appreciative of the talent that we talk about and the opportunities that are provided. Every time I hear I'll talk about it on my Twitch, my ears perk up because I immediately think about 2020 and everyone who was laid off by WWE and how many of them would run to a Twitch stream to make what I would call pity grift. And that's a lot of money because people would take the wrestlers completely at their word and support them no matter what. And as a result, they would give all of their money, and that would be, they would run away being like, yeah, I told you. And that makes me really upset because Zelina Vega did it and Aleister Black did it. They did that. Okay. I put it out there. I've been honest and forthright about that. I did not like it when they did it. I don't like it when anyone does that, but that is the first one that popped into my head. I don't like it when people say, yeah, you'll hear about it on our Twitch stream. It's almost like saying on our other paywall content, which it's not great. It's not great. It's a bad look from an optic standpoint.
I don't fully agree with that. I understand where you're coming from. I do. They weren't going to do like an interview immediately following. Now, could they? Should they? Yeah, probably. Like, it would have been better. But like doing it on Twitch, it allows them to get it out there quicker. Now, it's obviously going to be a little bit one-sided because you're on Twitch, nobody's pushing back. You can answer chat questions at your own will. Like, you don't have to respond to any potential pushback in the chat. Most of the people on the Twitch and in the chat are probably supporting you anyway. So I don't mind that they went on Twitch. I actually don't think it's like that great of a platform if you want to get your stuff out there. Truthfully, I mean, Henry's saying they're gonna be on Busted Open later this week. Good.
I was about to ask, is that a joke, or is that because we make that joke a lot?
Oh,
Because it's anti AEW and it's Busted Open. So I was about to ask Henry, is that a joke, or is that something they've said?
okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah, I realized that could be a joke now that you mention it. Regardless, like I don't think Twitch is like the greatest. Oh, okay, it's a joke.
It was a joke. Okay. But you know what? It's entirely possible that they would go on Busted Open to talk about it, because fair play to them. They are the largest of they're a larger platform when it comes to this game.
Yeah.
We're pretty big, but you know.
But I don't think that Twitch is like, again, this like great platform to get the information out. Like I'm not trying to view shame here. God knows I'm not in a position to do that. 699 views on this broadcast last night. That is less than what they did on previous streams. I was watching live. There was maybe like 100 people watching live. This was not some big thing of like, oh, the whole world is tuning in for this. They're not, no knock on them. They don't have the biggest names in the world. Now, when released WWE superstars do it, they got more of a name with everything. And so they're more likely to get a bigger promotion out there. They're more likely to have just a larger audience when it comes to that stuff. They're not huge names with anything. I don't know what their audience is in general. I mean, Nixon has less than 9,000 followers on Twitch. It's not really the biggest platform for them to get this out. I think the reason for this is largely that they could just say what they wanted to say without the pushback immediately. Because there's more questions than answers when it comes to this stuff. And you don't have to answer anything when you're just on Twitch and you can respond to what you want to respond to. Whereas if you are on this show or Busted Open or literally any interview that you might do, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get a follow-up question to things. And that's when it becomes more difficult. So if this was a Twitch grift of, hey, look at us, like, failed. I don't think it really worked. And I don't think like it was the best way to, if that was their point. I don't think it was. I truthfully don't. I could be wrong, but I truthfully think they wanted to do it because it was a quick way to do it. They're on Twitch already. They could do the story was on Saturday. They went on Twitch on a Sunday. So they could get it out there and they could control what was said without having any pushback with anything. I think that's the reason more than let's go on Twitch and build our brand.
I'm also going to add to it that they frequently play games on Twitch.
Yeah, and that's what they did last night. They played a game.
Exactly. They were playing It Takes Two. So that's why I'm just kind of like, when wrestlers do that, it gets my guard up. It doesn't mean that that's what they were doing, but it certainly looks a certain way. And yes, if that's what they were doing, shame on them. If it's not, and this was them trying to, pardon the pun, control your narrative, because that's sorry, then they did it. They tried it. And honestly, of the, how many people you said watch this? Less than 700?
Yeah, it's at 699 views right now.
So of the people who watched it, a good portion were either already going to be watching because they're probably
it's literally less than their last two videos.
There you go. And I bet you some of them were people who were writing, content. We were doing transcriptions and we're going to be doing whatever watch alongs for it. So it is what it is at this point for at least that side of it. They decided that this wasn't for them, this AEW appearance, for whatever reason, whether that was the amount of time allotted or was the amount of selling or lack thereof, that may have played the role into their decision to leave. They maintained that there were no hard feelings, but that they were given the option to leave and they decided to take it, I guess, at this point. But at the end of the day, another team, these two women stepped up, Hyan and Maya World, and said, "Sure, we'll do it," because in wrestling, that is traditionally what you do. You take the opportunities as they come. You can make the argument that maybe someone decided that I I deserved better, but it's not always about what you did, it's about what you're doing. And you can't just lay down. Well, I mean, in this match, you're supposed to at the end of it, but you can't just, there should be some creative pushback from wrestler to wrestler. There should be some creativity. You should be able to get your ideas off. But I don't know what that conversation was beyond what we've heard that really set them off. If it was more than just the time allotment, and it was, whether or not Megan should sell or not sell or whatever it was, talking about Megan Bain, of course, who was in that match. That's another part of it. So I don't know what their expectations were coming into this match. They were clearly wanting the Ty J match, and that got tossed around. And again, I talked about this last week when we randomly realized, like, oh, why are they facing Megan Bain and Marina Shafir? And it's like, yes, you could have picked another tag team. You could have, but you had them there. They are they're a credible tag team in the eyes of many. And also, Megan Bain and Marina Shafir got put into an unenviable situation where Megan's tag team partner was out of the tournament, and you had to do something to make Marina and Megan feel like a cohesive unit. They had to show the story of them getting together and what they can do to build them as a team. For me, it could have been, I originally, when I read the spoiler, I was like, this makes no sense. And then I realized, no, it makes perfect sense because you're trying to set this up. And that's it turned out to be a good match and a good time. Clearly not everyone was happy with the match. Going back to that match, actually, I'm curious about this. Whose idea? Because who were the baby faces? Who were the heels in the match?
I guess Nixon and Miranda were the baby faces.
So if that's the case, from a presentation standpoint, did Nixon think that kissing her girlfriend every single time she got in the ring or did something was going to be a babyface reaction? Or was so now we're going into the not the psychology, but like the why did you do it?
Why are the cops coming after you?
This is just a busy street, you know that.
Okay.
Everyone's got to come after me. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like, who did you go in? Was this part of your team's presentation and you didn't want to take that away? Was this, again, these are questions that I have about the creativity of the wrestlers being presented as such. Because if you're a babyface team, probably wouldn't be. I would do that. I wouldn't do that spot because it looks like you're getting heat by being cocky. That's why I go back to the match, because I went back and watched it and I was just like, why did you feel the need that you had to kiss her after every big spot? That's a heel thing. You're being cocky. It's not about a woman kissing another woman. It's not about that. It's just that. Why would you think that is the right case from a babyface presentation?
All right, I'm going to defend Nixon and Miranda here a little bit, in that I don't know if there was that much thought put into things. Honestly, I don't. Because the Megan and Marina match should have never happened. It should have never been booked in the first place. They set up the tag match, or the singles match if you're Joel. They set up the tag match against...
It was just Megan Bain wrecking two women.
Yeah, that ruled. They set up the tag match between Ty and Anna against Nixon and Miranda. Why did they do the match against Marina and Megan in the first place? That match never made any sense. And then it went 2.5 minutes. Should have been shorter, honestly. It should have been like 30 seconds. And then if you're going to do the Ty J match, sure, you want to go 3 minutes there? My point is, I don't think the booking was good with this stuff. Like, I don't think it made any type of sense. Do the Ty J match against them, give them 3 minutes, give them 4 minutes, whatever, and then go from there. Have Marina and Megan squash somebody else that you didn't get set up with a separate match, because it didn't make any sense to do the Marina Megan match and then do the Ty J match. Or if you're gonna do it that way, you actually, and this is gonna sound a little bit weird, but I'm trying to think as a booking sense here. If you're going to do it that way, The Marina and Megan match needs to be short. It needs to be 30 seconds. And then the Ty J match can be 3 minutes because it's longer, but it further establishes that Marina and Megan are the dominant team here. So when they face Ty J looks more credible because they last longer, maybe even wins the match. Or Marina and Megan continue to just wreck people, which is also great. But if you have them both the same amount of time, which is effectively what they were, that match went 2.5 minutes. The Ty J match was supposed to go 3 minutes. I don't think anybody actually looks good in that scenario. So I don't think the booking on this was very good. I understand where Nixon and Miranda were coming from of 3 minutes doesn't actually help anybody. Now, would they have done the same thing if that Megan and Marina match never happened at all and they still only got 3 minutes for this and they're like, yeah, that's not going to help anybody. We're out of here. Like possibly, maybe, I don't know. But I don't think the booking of any of this made any sense. So now look, I'm not saying that as a way to defend, leave the match, don't do what you were there to do type of thing. I don't agree with that portion at all. I don't. I do agree with the fact that this was kind of poorly planned and they have a right to express that this is kind of poorly planned. Now, there's been a lot of things in wrestling that have been poorly planned and people have just like, well, all right, I got to put the gas mask on and go out here and do this segment, you know? Like that's that. Wait, people, are y'all not listening to my argument here?
They don't listen, Jeremy. We know this. They don't listen in general. Why are you putting this on them?
The Megan and Marina match should have been 30 seconds, not 2.5 minutes. My argument is that the Megan and Marina match and the Ty J match should not have been the same amount of time. That's my argument, because they effectively were.
Yeah.
One was 2.5 minutes. This was going to be 3 minutes, which 3 minutes in wrestling is about 2.5 minutes because you got to cut off 30 seconds of that to make sure you're hitting your times. That's my argument here. I do agree Megan and Marina should have won quicker on things. They looked beastly in the 2.5 minute match. If you want that to go 2.5 minutes, then the Ty J match should have been 4 to 5 minutes in that case. I think Marina and Megan should have been a much shorter match than the Ty J match. Ty J match should have been longer. I understand where Nixon and Miranda were coming from with that. Now, would they have been happy if it would have been, hey, you're going to lose to Megan and Marina in 30 seconds, then next week you're going to lose to Ty J and Ty in 3 minutes? Would they have still done the same thing? Possibly. It's very possible they would have done that. And I don't have a defense for that. I'm speaking strictly on what we know happened here.
You keep saying 3 minutes, and I swear to God, I'm going to get attacked out of nowhere. My mother's going to show up and just beat the shit out of me. Just like old times. No,
makes sense.
I'm kidding. Janela had tweeted out when the report dropped from Sean. Janela said, Chris Jericho always said it best. He heard this before. Chris Jericho always said it best. You're essentially an actor. So if you're booked in a small role, especially if you're being booked as an unsigned enhancement talent, don't have a shitty attitude about it and do your best job because it will likely lead to more roles. Young wrestlers don't ever do this, talking about walking out. I can't tell you how many people sabotage themselves forever in this business doing bullshit like this, even on the indies. Word spreads in this business like a forest fire. That is something that Janela has said before. The word spread in this business like a forest fire. That is something that he has said. Others have said it, but I know that is a Janela-ism right there. And he's right. He's right. Because regardless of where you are on the quote unquote food chain, you can't walk out like that. You're paid to do a job, do the job. Whether that literally means do the job as in lose the match, or whether that means do what you're paid to do, the job you've been hired to do, you do the job because you accepted the role. You don't get to come in and say, well, actually, I'm going to beat all the aliens and be the savior of the day because you're going to rewrite the script. You don't get to do that. You're someone who is being paid for the role that you're given. So An example of this is Thunder Rosa once upon a time, right? She was contacted by WWE. They said, we don't need you as a wrestler. We're thinking about hiring you as a referee, because that was the role that WWE had available at the time for Thunder Rosa, and that's what they saw her for. Thunder said no. She was well within her right to do so, and she moved on and has had the career that she's been having. You're okay to say no. You just can't show up and then say no. That's really the gist of it. They came on knowing what was going to happen, knowing that this was an opportunity, knowing that they are trying to build a women's tag division with women's tag titles in a tournament right now. And instead, yes, things got a little bit flip-flop because of an injury, but as a result, they didn't really shift. Instead, it just kind of turned into, that doesn't work for me. And what has happened is what transpired. And whether or not there was a blow up or whether or not there was an argument, it doesn't matter. Two people who were paid to do a job walked out, and that doesn't look good, because you just can't do that in wrestling. And two people stepped up who were there filling extra role, and you don't always get that opportunity. And when you do, you say, absolutely, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, whatever, put on your gear and get to work. And that's what those two people, that's what Hyan and Maya World did. And as a result, they're getting praise, rightfully so. And the other two, they're going to have to figure out what they want to do next, whether that's in wrestling or not. Again, Nixon Newell saying, I got a year left, or that maybe that's what she wants to do. Maybe she'll get out earlier. I don't know. Maybe she's not in love with wrestling anymore. Maybe she wants to come back. We don't know. But the point is, she did say it on her Twitch stream that she's thinking she got about a year left. And that's her decision to make.
I'm going to respond to SP3 because I respect SP3, unlike the rest of you in the chat who don't.
Hell yeah. Bury it. Wait.
SV3 says, I think you're missing the point. The point of the TJ match was to prove that they're closer to Bane and Shafir than how it looks on paper, thus them winning in similar amount of time gets that over. I can respect that point. Would I have laid it out that way? No. But if that was what they're accomplishing, sure. But then I think they got it wrong in the match order of things. Then I would not have had them face Bane and Shafir first, because that wasn't the match you were setting up. I would have done a Bane and Shafir squash of some other tag team. Do the match with Ty J against Miranda and Nixon. Have that go 3 minutes, fine. And then the following week, do Nixon and Miranda against Bane and Shafir. And if you want that to go 3 minutes, then fine, because that also gets over Nixon and Miranda, which I know they really don't care about. But if you're going to put them on television twice, which they were going to do, then it does help add a little bit of credibility to them instead of, hey, here's local team 2 that we're just going to squash again. Like, I think that benefits everybody a little bit more of like, hey, look, they hung with Ty J out here. They went 3 minutes with them. We just watched Marina and Megan squash a team on the same show. The following week, oh, hey, now they kind of hung with Marina and Megan. And Marina and Megan, they took the same amount of time to beat this team as it took them to Ty J to beat them. I think that benefits everybody a little bit more in that order of things. That's just me personally. If people see it differently, fine. That's fine. The real crux of this, Joel, is this is all your fucking fault. Because you were the one who was like, why don't you do 16 teams and give these teams a shot out here, and maybe they can prove themselves, and maybe we can get an upset victory with all of this. I mean, yay!
We did on Dynamite get an upset victory, so there is that. And then we could talk about how they're treating the number one contender to the ROH Women's Championship. Go ahead, keep burying me.
Yay! This is what we get to do out here. And Nixon and Miranda took that personal. And they said, do you see what this guy from Fightful said? He said we should get more of an opportunity. He said we should get a upset victory over here. We should not be squashed. And if we can't get this victory, give me victory or give me a lift ticket to get home. And they took the lift ticket to get home, or they drove themselves, whatever.
They drove themselves home. I don't know where they live. Maybe they live in Texas. I don't know. It's just fine. It's not my fault. First of all, because on the other end, they brought in Maya World and they brought in Hyan, and look what happened. They had a great match. You could have put them in the tournament initially. Don't give me this. They could, you know what? Hyan and Maya World could have faced Nixon and Miranda in the first round. They could have beat Maya World and Hyan, moved on, and then they could have lost to Bane and Shafir. We could have been on our way. And then we could have done Bane and Shafir versus Ty-J. Who did Ty-J beat? Who cares? But they beat somebody. They would have gone in. They could have beat the Hex. I don't care. Actually, the Hex and Ty-J would have been a pretty fun match. Anyway, point is, you gotta move on from it. Those 16 teams just won't make themselves. Okay. Well, really, one of them has already gone home. So it doesn't really matter as much anyway.
Now to go back to everything else, I don't agree with walking out. I don't agree. Like, there's the dispute of how much, like, what did they walk out? Was it they talked to the agent? Their side of things is that they talked to the producer, and apparently they talked to other people, and they all agreed 3 minutes wasn't enough time to accomplish what they needed to accomplish. And they were like, hey, this maybe just isn't for us. And the producer was like, all right, we talked to the people. If you guys want to leave, you can leave. And they're like, all right, cool. We're out then. If that's how it was handled, okay. I don't see a harm in this. I don't. Like, if that's how you're going to handle things, if you don't think 3 minutes was enough time to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and you're like, yeah, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. And they agreed, AEW agreed that, like, okay, if you don't want to do it like this, well, then you can leave. And they left. All right. They handled it about the best they could do. I don't agree. And I want people to, despite the fact that it seems like I'm defending Nixon and Miranda and all this, I'm really just trying to play devil's advocate with a lot of stuff. And I do think, like, especially when they refuse to lose, I do think it's always beastly when a talent's like, that doesn't work for me, brother, especially like an unsigned talent. It's like, what are you doing? Come on now.
My character would never do that.
Yeah, just come on. I don't agree with their whole position of, well, 3 minutes is not enough for us and we're out of here. Like, no, just do the match. You're there. This is what you are there to do. This is what you were contracted to do. You're not standing up for anything by doing this. You're really not. Because you're not in a position to stand up for anything to do this. You're not Mercedes and Naomi in this aspect. You're just not. You are two unsigned people who Miranda doesn't get a ton of bookings from what I see. Okay. And Nixon has said this is going to be her last year. So it's tough to want to put any type of investment in them. Honestly, like, if I'm AEW and I know that this is like your last year and this is what you're saying, I'm not going to put a ton of investment in you. I don't know what Miranda's situation is. I'm not going to speak on that. I don't know her personally. I have no idea. I don't know anything really. I know some things about her because she posts some stuff, but I don't know what she's actually like personally. She's only worked a handful of matches this year. It's possible she was injured and so she was out, but she doesn't work a ton overall. She's had 100 matches since 2020. That's not a lot in a almost 5-year span.
I was going to say, we talked about Javon Evans having 100 matches like in a year span recently.
Yeah, it's not a lot. So she doesn't work a ton. When you were in this position to just get an opportunity, you go out there and you try to make the best of it. You got 3 minutes. All right, you got 3 minutes the week before against Megan and Marina. And we could talk about the sandbagging spot. There was also, Marina uses mother's milk, and Moxley's like, oh, she's unconscious. And there's Miranda, like, rolling around afterwards, like, getting out of the ring and everything. Like, I don't think she's actually unconscious there, Moxley. Like, I'm not saying she no-sold the finisher or anything, but it does seem like there was an expectation of you're supposed to chill and act like you got choked out instead of immediately rolling out and acting like you were kind of okay. That didn't seem like it was handled very well last week. And then you're going to do this where, okay, 3 minutes is not enough. And then instead of just doing the 3 minutes, you leave. I guess it's better than going out there and sandbagging, honestly. If you think about it, like, would you rather them just not do the match, or would you rather them go out there and things kind of look like shit? Oh, maybe bullets were dodged in that sense. So no, I don't agree with how it was handled. I don't agree with their stance on things, because I don't think they're in a position to really make any type of a change that maybe they think they are making with this. Because now it's going to be tough for them. And again, if it's Tegan Nixon's last year, then I don't know what their expectations were anyway. But it's going to be tough for them to kind of get anything. People are going to be like, oh, why are we going to book you if this is how you acted at AEW? We don't have a reason to bring you in here and give you any type of an opportunity. There's other people who will take this opportunity, people who are a little bit more trustworthy.
And they found them.
Sure, they found them as far as Hyan and Maya, but I'm talking about just like all independent world,
Right?
You know, like why is GCW going to book Nixon and Miranda now? Why is any independent promotion going to book them when this was their attitude in AEW? You know, like
listen to what Sean had to say about the report on his show on Select this morning. You get a little more information about it. That's my tease for Select, for the audio listeners on the Select side of things. You'll hear it. So
I didn't hear it. What did he say?
There have been talks with other promoters about conversations that have been had with Nixon in the past to book her.
Oh, okay.
And whether or not those conversations were I won't say good or bad, because that seems pretty binary. But yeah, this is not the main channel. No, it is not main channel Monday. No, the idea that the conversations were not always like as fruitful to get bookings with her. What that means is that's up for interpretation. But booking her there hasn't been a lack of trying when it comes to booking her. How about that?
Okay. And I mean, Nixon left WWE. I know she had some health issues at the end of last year and I think beginning of this year that maybe kept her off taking bookings. I think she also had passport issues with everything, and it became difficult. And but since returning, again, it's not like she's worked a ton. But I don't know Nixon. I don't know what they're actually like. I don't know what those conversations are. So all I know is the facts laid out for this story, and they made it more difficult on themselves with this whole thing. And I don't even fully disagree with a lot of stuff. They like their position as far as what they feel they wanted to do, but they just didn't handle it well.
I'm listening. I'm here. I'm just replying to something about someone who's watching.
Oh,
talking about some of their experience.
Are they
some
mad
of their
at me?
experiences. They're not mad at you. No.
Okay,
It is about the conversation that we're currently having. But yes, there's plenty more over on Fightful Overbooked. Click that subscribe button, tap that bell, get your notifications. And while you're at it, like the videos, interact with them, say some stuff. We want to hear from you. While you're at it, join us every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live for In the Weeds. You might like it.